Good afternoon, one and all. Purnima, you can start.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pehchan. Today we have Vandana, who is going to speak about her experience and how she is dealing and how's her journey and lot of things. So let me tell you about in last few weeks what Pehchan has been doing. We had Jyoti Mota and Ashish Momaya, who shared their experiences, how they fought with the disease and how they're managing it. And then we had Dr. Nutan Rao, graphologist and handwriting analyst. She spoke how graphology, with graphology, it can be helped and how it can be used. She gave 2 sessions on our platform, and today again I say we have Vandana and we have few more people coming up. I'll talk about it later. Now let me hand over it to Malati.
Yeah, Alpa, you would like to talk something about Pehchan first?
Yes, good afternoon, one and all. We welcome you at Pehchan today. At Pehchan, we help a person find out their lost identity, whether it is disease or any other mental health issues. A person loses his or her identity, and in the process, they don't know what and where to go about. So that is when they reach out to us and we help them with our counseling. And post-pandemic, there have been many cases of people going through stress, anxiety, and so many other mental issues. So here we have been counseling the patients, their caregivers, especially COVID-affected patients. Also, quarantine is become very a sad part of the living of the people, and they have to go through for almost 2 weeks, and everybody is finding it very difficult. So we are reaching out to them through counseling and helping them get back their lost identity. We are doing this as a complimentary service to the society, and Malti will be telling us more about today's evening program. Yeah,
Thank
Malti.
you, Alpa. Thank you, Alpa. A warm welcome to all the guests and participants on today's show. And my very warm welcome to Vandana, who's the Pehchan speaker of the day today. And I would like to say a few words about her. Vandana is born to a Fauji. She's married to a Fauji, and she's a Fauji in all way that she conducts her life throughout. Her never say attitude and her humor has helped her conquer cancer and her other health issues. In fact, she's had few, how would I say, encounters with Sri Yamraji, whom she has kept him at bay. And so about which she would be talking to you all about. She works as a cancer coach at Tata Memorial Hospital in Mumbai, and since last 5 years. She's also associated with the NGO Cope with Cancer and volunteers with them. And not but the least, she's also a member of our Pehchan team also. And she has given several motivational speeches for patients and caregivers of cancer and otherwise also, and is a certified mental health counselor. She counsels palliative patients, conducts sessions for breast cancer patients, and has been providing positive emotional support to many patients all around who have felt very close to her. Over to you, Vandana. Thank you.
Thank you, Malti, for such a warm welcome. Thank you, Alpa and Purnima, for giving me this platform. So, and thank you all who are a part of this talk. It's great to have you here. And yes, I plan to leave few footprints in your lives. After you hear this talk, I'm sure that you're going to have a different perspective towards how to see life. So Malti said a lot about me, so I will say a few things. My name is Vandana, And I am, yeah, may I request everybody to put the mics on mute, please? Thank you. So I'm Vandana Mahajan, and I happen to be the muse of Yamraj. He seems to be very fond of me. He keeps visiting me on and off. I haven't fallen for his charms as yet. I still have a lot to do, so I am not going his way. He comes on his bull, and he calls me. He knocks at my door very often. Couple of times he's taken me away also, but I managed to give him a slip and I've come back. So I want to share how I have given him a slip. No, I'm not gloating about it. It's just that I am not ready to leave as yet. Abhi picture baki hai, bahut kuch karna hai. जब वो हो जाएगा तब मैं आराम से जा सकती हूँ. So let me tell you about my life. Like Malti said, I was born to a Fauji. My father fought 2 wars. So I guess the fighting spirit runs through my blood. Then I got married to an infantarian, hardcore infantarian who dealt only with militants. So that also taught me a lot of, things about life, how to fight life. And then myself, my daughter and myself. So I have learned a lot from myself. I have never consulted any help books, because I think my life is a great help book for a lot of people around. So my life has been my greatest teacher. How this teaching started, we shall begin. So like I said, Yamraj seems to be extremely fond of me. So the first time he visited me was when I had my firstborn. I have one daughter. She was 1.5 years old, and I was carrying my second child. I had a massive miscarriage. I stood in a pool of my own blood. My firstborn went into ICU because of some complications. I nearly lost my life, but I had to live for my daughter. So I gave Yamraj the slip that time. A couple of years down the line, he said, "Bahut ho gaya, thoda sa fir se dekh leta hu." I'm quite smitten by her. He's taken by my charm. So he visited me again, this time with a biggie. So this time he came in with cancer. He thought cancer would scare me, but unfortunately, I did not fall for his gimmick. So in the year 2009, I was detected with thyroid cancer. How it all started was my husband was posted in a remote area, somewhere in the Northeast, and I was going through a rough patch. I would feel my body would feel a lot of lethargy. I would feel very tired and would have a very, very bad tummy. So one of the episodes, I had a bad tummy for nearly 21 days. I went to the local doctor there, and he said, "It's nothing, it's amoebiasis." So came back, the medicines were not working, and I was feeling so tired that I wouldn't be able to get up from the bed. But I had an event to attend, and one day, as all women, we like to, pamper ourselves. I was applying moisturizer, and I put it on my neck, and I felt a hard lump on my neck. It was rock hard. It was the size of, I think, probably 10 pebbles put together, a round stone. And it felt extremely uncomfortable. I went back again to the local small setup there. They said, "Now, don't worry. It's nothing." A lot of women have goiter. I was pretty young. I was 34 years of age that time. And, but any which ways, so that was kind of forgotten. I said, goiter, nothing's much to do about it. So as luck would have it, me and my daughter, we were traveling to Delhi that time. We were in Delhi, and one of our very dear friends, who is an anesthesiologist, he saw this lump and he said, "Vandana, do not take it lightly. In all probability, it's nothing, but have it examined." So when the examination started, and I went to one of the top endocrinologists of the country, and he also checked, and it was the same. No, kuch nahi hai, kuch nahi hai. It's probably a thyroid issue. But one of the tests said an FNAC. So FNAC means they want to examine whether the lump on your neck is malignant or is it something to be concerned about. Wo bhi ho gaya. I was busy partying, but all this while I felt a lot of fatigue. The FNAC reports came, and it was malignant. And very few thyroid cancers are malignant. 99% thyroid nodules are benign. So they said they thought it was malignant, but an FNAC doesn't give a clear picture. Puri family ko, I was in a state of shock because the report said excision biopsy. Nobody wants to hear the word biopsy in their lives ever. It's the most scary word. So I was rushed into the army hospital, and the doctor saw the report and told me, within 2 days, we have to operate you. I hadn't realized the gravity of the situation because I've always been very bindas in life, very bindas. Whatever happens, I've been a very happy-go-lucky person. So it didn't register key operation, and that also for suspected cancer, but I had to go through with it. A lot of tests happened. I was admitted for surgery. So they said they will remove the left part of my thyroid gland and told me that in all probability, this is just a scare you have and it's going to be benign. And with half a thyroid, you can live your life comfortably. Fine. I mean, you have to at times just listen to the doctor. You don't have a choice. I was taken in for the surgery, but in the pre-op counseling, I was told that the thyroid gland runs very close to the vocal cords. So the thyroid gland, vocal cords are practically touching the thyroid gland. And I was told, again, a rare happening during surgery, sometimes the vocal cords get damaged. But I was told, no, it's no big deal. You are going to be fine. So I said, chalo, theek hai, I'm going to be fine. I was wheeled into the surgery. For whatever time I was wheeled out, I was regaining consciousness. At that moment, I tried to speak, but I couldn't. I ended up croaking. It was like a toad. A toad is medak. So I ended up croaking. When I fully regained consciousness, at that point, I was trying to speak and I couldn't. So my husband told me that the doctor has said he's accidentally touched your vocal cords during the surgery and you're going to have lifelong voice damage. I just couldn't speak. I mean, what you hear of me now has taken me 1 year post my surgery. I was croaking. I couldn't talk. We would go out for outings and I would just listen. Today, as I speak to you, my voice stands damaged, vocal cords stand damaged. I can't talk for too long because my voice gets tired as your body gets tired. And so a lot of people say, tumko bura nahi lagta. So what I tell them is, look how lucky I am. I've got an auto cut. I can't bore anyone. So after talking for some time, my voice on its own goes on an auto cut mode. So I tell them, look, I can't talk anymore. I can't sing. I can't raise the pitch of my voice, but I still carry on. I conduct sessions. I do these talks. And I am also very, very aware of the need of my body. Jab thak jayega, then I will tell you ki thak gaya. So yeah, that's an auto cut. So that was one part. I was sent back home with the assurance it is all okay, nothing's going to happen to you. My husband, like a typical Fauji, left me at my parents, went off joint duty. And all this while, the nodule, the thyroid gland, was sent for a biopsy. I still remember that day. I had a huge scar with stitches on my neck. Husband was not there, and I got a call from my brother. He says, Didi, biopsy results are out and it's malignant. You know, for a moment, everything turned, everything around me became a blur. I looked at my daughter who was 13 years old. I saw my aged, ailing parents. They were looking at me with such eyes. I had no time to express my fear. I couldn't. So what I did was I picked up the phone and I called up the oncosurgeon and told him, Doc, I'm ready for my second operation. I croaked. He started laughing. He says, "Tumhare jaisi to aaj tak dekhi nahi, jo khud hi phone karke bolti hai that she's ready for the second operation." So I went in for 4 days later. I was taken in for the second surgery, again with the reassurance, you're going to have a good life even if you don't have thyroid gland. Surgery happened. Now post the surgery, I was without thyroid glands. They said it's an uneventful surgery. I came back home. 2 days post the surgery, I was sitting in my washroom and my toes turned numb. My legs started turning numb. I started feeling that my limbs, the lower limbs, were made of dead wood. my hands became numb. My fingers became like this. I couldn't close my fingers. I had tingling here on my nose, on my eyelids, on my lips. I was quite, jittered. I came out and told my husband, something's not right. He called up the oncosurgeon. Oncosurgeon said immediately, he was scared. He said, immediately get her to the hospital. The hospital was 90 minutes away. We got into the car. My mom and dad were absolutely shaken. My mom walked up to me. She gave me a Tetra Pak of juice. I tried holding it and I couldn't close my fingers on it. Sat in the car. My husband started the car. But while we were moving, my body started dying. So to a lay person, I will explain it as, what happens to a dead body when when a person dies, the person's body goes into rigor mortis. Alpa, is somebody trying to get in? I'm getting calls. So, sorry about that.
I've given them access.
Okay, because I'm getting a couple of calls. Okay. So my body, I was dying. So while my senses were alive, my body was slipping into rigor mortis. So imagine all my senses were there. I could see, but I couldn't blink. I could talk, but my tongue became like wood. It turned rolled up. My mouth wouldn't close. My cheeks went in. And I told my husband, I uttered to him, I don't think I'll make it. We were standing at a traffic signal. And my body was actually like dead wood. Neck down. In fact, neck down, I could feel nothing. And I was like this. I mean, I have to explain how it was. My husband was shaken. My daughter was shaken. He immediately, at the signal, he told me, I don't know what to do. So somewhere, my senses, I was alive. I said, there is a hospital around the bend. He took a left. We reached the hospital. Had we crossed the traffic signal, Yamraji would have taken me. But I probably knew how to give him a miss. So he took a left turn. We went to the emergency. All I remember was my husband took me out of the car, physically dragged me, and I lost consciousness. I woke up. I was still, my facial muscles were paralyzed. My hands were paralyzed, but I could open my eyes. I saw my brother. And I was told that my heart had stopped. Dil ruk gaya tha. But like bada filmy hai mere saath. So jab dil ruka, to saath wo boond bhi gayi. That drop of medicine went in, or dil ekdam phir se chalu ho gaya. So I have seen that white light what the people talk about. So I have experienced it, but I was not ready to go, probably because of my daughter. So I came back. Half an hour in that hospital with drips and all. I went back to the hospital where I was operated. I was rushed into the ward, multiple drips. And at that moment, I was told that something known as parathyroids are there below the thyroid gland. During the surgery, they were accidentally damaged. My body no longer produces calcium. So since that day, I'm on a heavy dose of calcium. I stayed in the hospital for 4 more days because my body had stopped producing calcium, and without calcium, the heart stops. Don't want to get into too much technicalities, but since that day, I'm on a very heavy dose of calcium. If I don't eat my calcium today, I'll die tomorrow. So that's a point of contention between doctors. Some say you will last around 48 hours. Some say nahi, 24 घंटे से ज़्यादा नहीं रह सकती. So I am a very rare case. Only there are 1% cases known like me in the world. Most of the doctors in India don't know how to treat my condition. I've been treated as a guinea pig, experiment without knowing what happens to me. After a lot of doctors, I have finally settled down with one of the top doctors in the country who takes beautiful care of me. So that is one part of, it is just the surgery when the cancer was detected. The cancer treatment hadn't even started. So I had experienced all this. Somebody once told me, don't you feel bad? How can you say कि आज नहीं दवाई खाओगी तो कल मर जाओगी? थोड़ा सा डर नहीं लगता है? So my answer to them is, I accept my reality. When I accept my reality, I can handle it so much better. And also, I always say how many people in this world can control when to live or when to die. I am that one lucky one who has अपनी जिंदगी की चाबी मेरे हाथ में है. मैं मरना नहीं चाहती, लेकिन अगर कभी चाहूँ तो कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So yeah, so that was one part. The second was the cancer treatment. Now, this battle I fought. Now I had to be prepared for cancer treatment. Thyroid cancer, they say it's a very easy cancer to be treated, but they don't tell you what easy means. So any which ways, that is, I think all patients who go through cancer are told it's an easy treatment, don't worry. So thyroid cancer has got a very different line of treatment. I was, the preparation for the cancer is that one has to be off salt. So I could not eat normal salt. I was on a totally salt-less diet. My thyroid levels had gone up to 150. At 150, your heart can stop. At 30, 40, your heart can stop. But my thyroid levels touched that limit. I was very sluggish. I went in for the thyroid cancer treatment now. So it is, what happens during thyroid cancer is they give you radioactive, you have to ingest radioactivity. The first time when I was, when I encountered this, I went and they put a capsule in my mouth. The capsule was taken from inside a stone bottle. I was taken to a room, very thick walled room. There was a guy with me, a nursing assistant. He opened that stone container. There was a bottle inside it. There was a capsule. With the forceps, he took out the capsule, dropped it into my mouth, handed me a glass of water and ran away from there. So I was quite shocked. Later, I came to know that capsule is radioactivity. So once I ingest that capsule, I would become radioactive. I was hazardous for any living form. So this was very mild radioactivity. This was a tracer, dose. Any which way, so once the tracer dose was given to me, 2 days post that, I lived in isolation at home. I was away. I had to use a different toilet, couldn't eat with anyone. I was given instructions not to go near pregnant women, small children, old people. And it sounded so depressing, when you are told that your body is hazardous to others. But I was allowed to go home. Then went in for the scan. The scan detected cancer inside my body. I had to be radio ablated, like a cancer patient goes through chemo. I had to go through radio ablation. So this was the most difficult part of my treatment. I went in, I was taken, I was made to sit on a stool. There was a bottle of something. There was a pipe attached to it. There was a person standing about 500 meters away from me. He told me, drink it up. And I was told after you drink it, you will be kept in isolation inside the hospital. So I drank that liquid. I was given strict instructions that the pipe that you're drinking from should not touch even the table where it's kept. I accidentally touched it because I accidentally left the pipe there. And I remember that the doctor scolded me. That was the only time when I cried. I actually cried because everything was so overwhelming. So I had that liquid. I was kept into isolation. There was a room isolation ward. I was put there. 3 days, I was told to use a different toilet. My clothes had to be washed separately. I could not come out of the room. My food would be kept outside the door with a knock on the door. That food has arrived, and then the person would leave. I would open the door, take the food inside. My only person who came to meet me was my husband. He would stand outside. He would put his hand on the door, and I would put my hand, very filmy. And I had no contact for 4 days with the outside world. Was that I was released. So when I was released, my radiation levels were checked with an instrument, like in a radioactive nuclear plant. They test radioactivity. The radioactivity was tested on me also. And I was sent back home again with the instruction that I had to stay away for some time. So this is how my cancer that was in my body was supposedly destroyed. This process continued for 6 years. For the first 2 years, every 6 months, I had to take a tracer dose. I had to undergo a scan. And was put off thyroid tablets. I had to stay off salt, and it was really a torture for my body. Mentally, it did not bring me down, but it practically, you know, kind of uh, it set my body back by a lot of years. It took me a lot of time to build myself up. After 6 years, I was declared to be in remission. Today, I'm a low-risk cancer patient, and I keep getting cancer scares on and off in my life. This January also, I had a cancer scan. I visit my doctors like people visit friends. I visit my doctors. I have all doctors staying with me. I visit more doctors than anybody. Doctors are my best friend, but I still carry on with life. And as Malti said, I am volunteering with cancer patients, and I have dedicated my life to the cause of cancer. So that's my story. And I'm open to questions from anyone now.
So Vandana, I'm really self-shocked. I don't have words to tell you. Really, I should go through some dictionary to find the proper word to describe you. Hats off to you, और वंदना को मेरा वंदन.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
खूब बड़ी मर्दानी वो तो वंदना महाजन ही थी, जो कैंसर को धोखा दे के आ गई, है ना?
वो किसी ने मेरे को बोला कैंसर तेरी हद क्या, तेरी ऐसी की तैसी.
हाँ, कैंसर की ऐसी की तैसी.
कैंसर की ऐसी.
नहीं, आपने तो सीता सती को भी चैलेंज कर दिया.
थैंक यू सो मच. इसीलिए तो मैं कहती हूँ अल्पा कि मैं यमराज जी की म्यूज हूँ. उनको वो मेरे को से बहुत ज्यादा पसंद करते हैं, और मैं गिरी नहीं उनके चार्म्स के लिए. I haven't fallen for his charms as yet.
नहीं, अभी यमराज बहुत बिजी है, तो अगले 20-30 साल तो आने वाले भी नहीं है. पैंडेमिक में बहुत ही बिजी है यमराज.
हाँ, शायद ऐसा लगता है. कभी नॉक करते हैं दरवाजे पे, मैं उनको बोलती हूँ अभी पिक्चर खत्म नहीं हुई है, अभी तो पिक्चर बहुत बाकी है. अभी वापस जाओ.
So anybody from the audience who have any questions are most welcome to question her, want to thank her, want to share something with her. You're all most welcome. You can unmute yourself.
Hey Prochi.
Hi.
I can see familiar people. Hey Anji. All my friends are here.
They are from Pinkathon.
Yeah, they're all my Pinkathon friends. They're my, pink buddies.
She's a big inspiration to all of us.
Yes.
Vandana is a big inspiration to all of us. She's a very active member of our group.
Yes. She brings life wherever she goes. सब में जान डाल देती है.
I would like to ask a few questions to Vandana.
Sure, Purnima.
Yeah, Purnima, before that, suppose if the session ends, we can always log in with the same ID. The same ID we can again rejoin. Yeah.
Vandana, as you say, आप यमराज को हमेशा चकमा देते हो. भगवान करे आप हमेशा यमराज से जीतो. You know, that is that's really great.
But you know, Purnima, that is why I say God has given up on me. He said, I leave the choice when you want to leave Earth. I leave it with you. So that's why He's given me that power.
Who knows? Maybe Yamraj is scared of you now.
He's tired of her.
He's tired of it. I haven't fallen for him as yet.
Yes. Vandana, I like the statement you said. You accepted the reality when you were talking about it. Would you like to talk more about it? You know, give those who have undergone or those who are experienced. What do you mean? You know, how, in what terms, and in physically, mentally, emotional. What was your, you know, accepting reality? How you came to terms?
Okay.
Please like to share. Yeah.
See, I actually believe in a quote from my favorite book. My favorite book is called The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. In that, he says, you can't change the cards that you are dealt with, only how you play the hand. So तुम्हारी जिंदगी में जो होता है, you can't change that, but how you react to those situations will decide your next day. So when all this happened to me, for a moment I was taken aback because I believe I did not deserve it. But then it happened. It happened. I accepted it knowing that...
Please everybody mute yourself.
Yeah. So I accepted it with a lot of grace. There was no way of turning my back towards it. And the only way to move ahead is by accepting the challenges that came my life. So I just simply accepted it in my stride. I did not, take any help from anyone. Probably it's because, like Marti said, फौज का खून दौड़ता है veins में, तो वो fighting spirit है. So I just accepted it because I have a lot of people whom I had to take care of. My daughter, my parents, two aged parents. I couldn't leave giving them misery in their life. So I accepted it and I molded my life around the challenges that I have faced. It's not easy. I have a lot of challenges, but I have molded my habits, my way of living, my attitude towards life to what I have faced. That's what I have done.
That is good. That's something which, everybody has to learn, how to face the adversities in life, head on and move forward rather than get drowned in that. I would like to ask you something. Yeah.
Okay, Malti, can I just say something? Yeah. I deal with a lot of cancer patients, and कई बार, they say things like, हमारे कर्म तो खराब होंगे, हमको ये क्यों हो गया? They look for karmas, they blame karmas, but I actually feel it's not karmas at all. It is because you are God's chosen one. And he's chosen you to fight a certain battle because you have it in you to fight it. He doesn't pick everybody else. So he knows that I can fight it and I can bring that change into people around me. So I feel blessed. I've never blamed my karmas for it. Never. Because I truly believe मैं अच्छी इंसान हूँ. मैं असली में अच्छी हूँ. मैं अपने लिए भी अच्छी हूँ, दूसरों के लिए भी अच्छी हूँ. So yeah, that's me.
That is good. I wanted to ask you, Vandana, that, more of practical bit of information as to, have you thought of making some kind of lifestyle changes you felt which you should bring into your life in order to, better face any health issues, or because of what you faced, you made any changes after your encounter?
Oh yes, a lot of changes, because what my life was pre my surgery, it cannot be right now. So I have, like I was telling Purnima, I have adapted in many ways. As of today, I cannot have a bad tummy, because if I have a loose tummy, I drop calcium like a airplane drops, height. So with two motions, my calcium drops from 8.2 to 6. I can't have a bad tummy at all. So I have adjusted my diet accordingly. I am very careful with what I eat. I eat everything, but just enough that it doesn't give me a bad tummy. I have also changed the way I deal with life. I realize when my body tires, I accept it. I sit down. I don't push it too much, because I also realize that if I have to suffer, I have to suffer on my own. People around me can give me comfort. They can give me moral support, but they can't feel what I'm feeling. Like they say, only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches. I have to deal with my own pain. And I have adjusted my life keeping that in mind. If I'm in pain, I step back from what I am doing. I have stopped doing things out of the way because I realize my body can't do it. So those are the changes that I have made in my life. And also I realized, one thing that I want to share with you, when I was younger, my dream was to become a doctor. I barely missed it. Now, God has a very funny sense of humor. He did not make me a doctor, but he made me a doctor's muse as well. So the number of doctors that I see, it's unbelievable. You guys cannot even imagine. I mean, how many doctors I know I have visited. And each time I visit a doctor, I tell them, here I am, the most defective piece in the world. And the doctor says, the defective piece which God has made, we are trying to fix it. So yeah.
You have to connect.
Yes, all of us will have to reconnect again.
Yeah.